Good morning. Welcome. Today, we are, when I spoke with, or when Pastor spoke with me, he talked about the demography that we are going to be speaking with, which is there are a lot of young people who have just graduated. I hope you permit me to approach you. Okay. Who have just graduated, and some of them have jobs, some of them are just starting off and learning how to navigate. And then there are some that are already in the middle. They are trying to learn how to accelerate. Then there are those who have gone far. They are trying to know how to establish and do something new. Am I correct? Do I capture the demography? So the challenge that he has given me is that you know that you can't use one net to catch shark and catch crayfish. But since we are learning from the teacher of the fishers of men, we will find a way around it. So today, the main topic, so we'll have a main topic, and we'll have some commercial breaks in between somewhere around. So I'll chip in some things here and there. So the main topic is dry wealth. You know, how many of you desire to be wealthy? How many of you do not like dryness? Okay, so we are going to talk about dry wealth. Okay. So please repeat it so that I'm sure you capture the right words, because some people will say dry well or something else. So, okay, good. So we shall be touching a few chapters, Genesis 41 and 47, 13 to 22. There was one evening I was at home. I was led to pray about a few things, and God started pointing me and saying that I should read a particular story and I should focus on it, that there was a lot of secret to growth, success, and wealth in that. And it is not where I thought it would come from, because sometimes we want to look at Solomon. Yes, Solomon is good. He is an example, but there are others that really have the depth of the process. Because Solomon doesn't always tell you about the process to his wealth. He only talks about the spirituality that led to his wealth. So there's not enough about the process. So let's go to chapter 41 from verse 1 to 7. Who wants to read? That has a complete Bible. Okay, please. Read Genesis. Okay, sorry. Let somebody help out. Okay, good. Thank you. And the mic has not come to pass. Okay, I will give you the next one.
And it came to pass, at the end of 2 full years, that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean-skinned and lean-fleshed kine did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and dreamed the second time. And behold, 7 years of corn came up upon one stalk, rank and good. And behold, 17 years, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. And the 17 years devoured the 7 rank and full years. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, and there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying,
Stop. I think your WIAC, you did too much. so, so thank you. Let's clap for her. There are a few things that I learned from that. First of all, the 2 years of Joseph's delay in prison was for his recognition. Some of us are in a situation whereby we think that there is delay. When a patient is waiting outside an operation theater, he thinks he is just waiting. When a passenger is waiting, a plane has landed and your flight has not taken off. You are wondering why, since you've seen the plane land. But what is happening is that there is preparation. They can't just board you into the plane like that. They have to prepare. They have to clear everything that was in there, everything that is not in the proper place, and prepare for you to come in. So some of what we call delay is what God and his angels are seen as preparation. Because you don't want to go in unprepared. And sometimes we cannot survive the preparation process. So we are better off trapped in that place of delay. So, and what we need to hold on to is the fruit of the Spirit called long suffering. That fruit I don't like. Because we like peace, love, joy. But long suffering is what we need to practice. One other thing you notice is that both the fat and the thin cows came from the same Nile. But it is not by the appearance or seeming strength you shall overpower the powerful. So one was fat, the other one was thin, and the thin one swallowed the fat one. Then the fat cows in verse 2 to 3 says, but you don't need, you know that the way, when it came out, when the fattened cows came out, they ate the green shoots. So they ate the best. There was no record that the thin cows ate anything. But what did the thin cows now eat eventually? Was what cows don't normally eat. So the fat cows had advantage. The thin cows had miracle. Sometimes we are chasing advantage when God is planning miracle. Because it's a miracle for a cow to swallow a cow. Cows don't eat cows. Talk less of a thin cow swallowing a fat cow. We can forgive the logic that a cow ate a cow. Because there's one of my colleagues told me about one goat that used to eat meat in their village. But that's a different case. It's a special goat. So for a cow to eat a cow, it's like, then you expect the fat cow to swallow the thin cow. You can forgive the logic of a cow eating a cow, but fat cow ate a small cow. But when a thin cow eats a fat cow, then that is a fat problem. So, you don't need to eat green to feed fat. You don't need to eat big to eat the best. So just note that. Then Ecclesiastes 9:11 says, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to the men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. So basically, it's God that, it's not what we see. You may see yourself in a disadvantage. So, and one of the things I always used to tell people is that those days that I used to apply for jobs, I apply. If they say, if I'm just graduating, they say 3 years experience, that's the one I want to apply to. I don't want the fresh graduate one. When I'm 3 years, I want to apply to the 5 years experience. I say, why? I said, it's not my job to disqualify myself. There's somebody in HR whose job it is to disqualify me. If he doesn't do his job, it's not me to help him. So I will apply. They are not going to call me to kneel down in front of the office and raise my hand and say, why did I apply? The worst they will do is that they will throw away the paper or whatever. But I will apply. And I dare you to interview me and see if you will resist employing me. Put one foot into the door. Apply. Start. You see, a couple of weeks ago, I was traveling. I was outside of the country. So I had some heavy luggage. And I couldn't, because I had like 2 or 3 boxes. So to go up the stairs and then come back and pick, it's just, you have to move with your luggage all the time. You can't put one and go. But because I was moving, people came to help me. So when you don't move, you will not get help. You have to move. Somebody said, oh, I sat with somebody, said, oh, I'm not, my challenge is, I want to do this. I said, what do you want to do? I want to do this. He said, but I need to go to school first. I said, okay, why haven't you gone to school? He says, I don't have money. I say, if you wait for money, you will never go to school. Those who wait for money don't go to school. Those who go to school get money. So, have you applied? Have you gotten admission and found out that you have admission and there was now no school fees? People don't contribute school fees to somebody that doesn't have admission. Have you ever seen that type of thing where people will now be gathering school fees when there's no admission? Admission can generate school fees that was not there before. So start. It took me to do my MBA. It took me more than 15 years of procrastination. Hoping to have money. Hoping that when I save. You know, when you leave school, you are planning to save to do something. So when you start to save, the first thing that happens to that money is that you need small accommodation. So you now go and arrange with your friend, 2 of you share rent. I know somebody is looking like it has happened to them before. Then, as you are going, you are saving again. You are hoping to save for school. That promised school that you say you want to go to. Some of you want to go to the abroad to study and all those type of things. You are gathering the money. Then, you now need to move closer to the island. You have another accommodation. Then you now need to be separate because your friend is getting married or you are getting married, whatever. So there's a new accommodation again. Then there's now this small problem of a toy car that is no longer a toy that will actually move you to office. So you now want to buy a car. So that now consumes the next day. Then this your savings and savings process is now 3 years old. Then the next thing you want to do is that you now like somebody or wonder whether somebody likes you, but somehow you and your parents agree that there's something called a marriage, which now creates another set of expenses called a wedding. Then you take 1 year to recover. You start to save again. As you are saving again, there's somebody has come out of this marriage. Then you start to save again. Then there's something that they tell you are trying to grow this child to become successful, but they now tell you that there's something called school fees. You now have to pay that one for the child. Your own school fees that you had planned for is now. then while you sort it out and you get a rhythm, there's another child. So these things never end. The next thing you find, you are 10 years in that dream because that dream did not have action. The only thing, money went to all these things because they had action. Do you understand? The house called for it. The car called for it. The child called for it. Your dream did not call for it because there was no action. So cows don't really eat cows. So what it means is that there's an exponential growth for the chosen. That your food is not for you to struggle with grass with other cows. Your food is cows that eat the grass that cows struggle for. And it's not just ordinary cows, it's fat cows. So sometimes we should be thanking God, but we are complaining. Then the corn dream represents the fact that God's word will remain true, no matter the circumstances, occupation, or business. You know, when they use cow and corn, it reminds me of Cain and Abel. It reminds me of the 2 first professions. It reminds me of the extremes, that the ones with the profession with the blood, the profession without the blood. So the extremes of the earth, no matter the situation, this dream, the formula in this dream is applicable universally. So they had to use the 2 extremes. So you don't say it's only for the headers, it's only for the farmers, it's only for this profession, it's only for the pastors. No, it's for everyone. So from verse 8 to 13, I'll skip a few things. So in the morning, his spirit was troubled. That's Pharaoh. Then verse 9 says, then the chief cupbearer said to Pharaoh, I remember my offenses today. Mhm. Then let's skip to verse 12. It says, a young Hebrew, so the chief cupbearer is now talking to Pharaoh. It says, a young Hebrew was there with us, a servant of the captain of the guards. When we told him, he interpreted our dreams to us, giving an interpretation to each man according to his dream. So, the Lord speaks to kings because he appoints kings. From Abimelech to Pharaoh to Nebuchadnezzar to Ahasuerus. So, stop thinking that you need a new king in order to achieve the dream that God has given you. God does. You see, many people, we complain, we say, Nigeria, we are hoping that we will see a particular type of president for the opportunities that God has told us for us to be successful. You'll be waiting for 4 years. Do you know how many 4 years it takes you to get to 80 years old? There are not that many. So stop planning your dream around the 4 year of you are looking for one wonderful guy that looks wonderful. It doesn't work like that. Do you understand? Sometimes the children of God benefit the most from hating kings. Abimelech was supposed to deprive Isaac and Abraham, but he blessed them. But Abimelech is not a, in quote, Christian, as you call it, but God spoke to him. You see, not everyone speaks to God, but God can speak to everything, not just one, everything. Shebi God was speaking to devil in Job's case. So they may not always have access to God, but God has access to them. God does not need the righteousness of a king, nor the permission of an unrighteous king to bless his people. So stop waiting for the king. The king. So our objective is to realize that the Bible says the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord. Like rivers of running water, he turneth it whichever way he pleases. So our target is to win the heart of God, to move the hand of God, to move the heart of the king. Do you get? So we win the heart of God to move the hand of God to turn the heart of the king. So everything starts from winning the heart of God. So you can be a Daniel in the midst of a Nebuchadnezzar that is ruthless and deep into idolatry and occultism. But you are now untouchable. You are not just untouchable, you are highly blessed. You are a Joseph that is in the midst of a Pharaoh. You are highly blessed. You are a Nehemiah. You are highly blessed. You are an Esther sharing bed with a king whose right-hand man is the leader of Boko Haram saying death to the Jews. But you are highly blessed. And Daniel and his people were more blessed than under the Jewish king Ahab and co. So stop looking for a Jewish king. Your king is the king that God has given you. If God doesn't want, no king will sit. Just note. So stop wasting your own time waiting for a king God did not ask you to wait for. Your time is now. Your time is every time. And every king works for you. So the difference, because we have to go on a higher level. So while people are struggling on who to appoint as king, we are asking on how we will control whoever is appointed as king. So we'll go on top. Say on top. Yes. Above always. So that's how we do our strategy. So kings cannot sleep until they open the door for your opportunity. That's what happened with Joseph. Then some problems of the world were created for your manifestation. All this drama of 7 years and 7 years, can you imagine that? What if it was rigged so that Joseph would be important? So, what if COVID was rigged so that one family will be rich? Do you know how God will go to shake the earth just to make one person important? See the drama of the crucifixion. It ended up with Christ. He moved from Jesus to Christ in the whole drama. So in that drama, the Egyptians are always seeing something different. The drama of the Passover and Pharaoh's stubbornness was the transference of wealth. The same night of the blood was the night of the gold. So you are not like others. Stop crying about what is happening in the economy, in the world, in the days. What if it is happening because of you? So seize your opportunity. Another thing again is people you blessed will proclaim your name in great places. Invest in blessing people. That's what the butler did to Joseph. When we operate in gifts of the Spirit, we evangelize. So, as Joseph was interpreting dream in the prison, his story and his evangelism was happening. Then, we must seek spiritual gifts which act as an incredible multiplier to our natural giftings. So, everything we do, if we add the spiritual gift to it, we become something else. If you are a consultant and you add the gift of wisdom, imagine what you can do. If you are a doctor and you add the gift of miracle and healing, wow, your hospital is full. If you are a stockbroker and you add the gift of prophecy, let's not go there. So I tell you, I have seen this in my life, really. Okay, while he was talking, there was something we did. There was a business we managed for the company many years ago. This was during the 2015 crisis. And my spirit just said, let us recapitalize. And there was fight. People were saying, it's not necessary, it's necessary. But we went ahead. 2 months after we raised the money, everywhere just shrunk. There was now no money in the land. Everywhere dried. How many of you were born in 2015 that remember the 2015 crisis? When even houses were empty, landlords were begging people to move in. There was no money. And we sat there and we bought land that has never been bought before. We acquired even without money. We just simulated that the small money we raised looked like big money. So I said, banks came to meet us to say, buy our land. I said, you have to reduce the price. They reduced the price. I said, you have to give us loan to buy your land. They said, yes, they gave us loan. They said, no. I said, no. Even that loan, safe. We want to pay for the land over 3 to 5 years. So a land that is over 3 billion, you are only paying 250 million now. Then, so you borrow me the money, the 250 million now. Then later, I will pay the other one. You borrow me the money for that one. So I'm not borrowing over 3 billion. I'm borrowing just 250 million. So that borrowing, you will borrow me. And you will not carry the whole liability on me now. You will take it small. They say yes. Then I say, even the interest rate, you will reduce it. They say yes. Then I said, okay. You know this thing called, this land, you have to refence it very well. You fence it in your cost. They say yes. Then we say, that, we have to do this title transfer. And we have to do perfection and everything, and it will be expensive. You will take the cost. They say yes. Then we say, okay, the legal fees, the lawyer, all those things. That's expensive. You will take it. They say yes. So how much money did we bring? So money, dreams don't chase money. Money chases dreams. Sometimes God has not answered you because your dream is not big enough. And stop trying to shrink your original dream that God gave you because you think that God is shrinking your time. God is bringing you closer to your time. So even make it bigger. A lot of the older people have to hear this, that your age is your perfection. Because many times we look at time, but God is interested in timing. Timing is the smallest part of time. That is the most important part of time. That I wait at the bus stop for 1 hour for the bus. That is time. That I am at the bus stop in the 1 minute that the bus stops and picks me. That is timing. So, from verse 14 to 24, let's do 14 to 16. Then Pharaoh sent and called for Joseph, and they quickly brought him out of the pit. And when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, it is not in me, God. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. Then verse 21 says, but when they had eaten them, he's talking about the cows, the thin cows again. So those of us that are thin, we are, you understand? So, but when they, well, don't worry. But, but when they had eaten them, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were still as ugly as at the beginning. Then I awoke. So, a few things. You need to be cleaned up when you're to meet the king. So Joseph was cleaned up. How many of you clean yourself up spiritually before going for your interview? How many? You have to clean up, because there's a way you look in the spirit when you appear in certain places. It's not your physical look only. And a lot of times we don't prepare. The devil is the only one that prepares. The devil knows that you're having an interview at 10 a.m. in this room with these people. So he goes to plan. He is not sleeping. You are sleeping. You are hoping that you will go and your brilliance will win it. No, brother. Send your angels too now. Remember we said at the beginning, prepare. Let that preparation be happening before your appearance. So there's a need to clean up. Then, just to call you, they will bless you. So they said, bring Joseph. So they have to change his clothes. You know, they are not going to return those clothes if Joseph does not perform. They have already given him clothes, they have already shaved him, they've given him perfume. He has taken that one. So they have given you advance before they even know whether you can perform. They will seek you from your impossible hiding. It's in a place where, you understand, then no one can solve a problem created for you. Don't fear, even when they attempt to steal your ideas. How many of you have been in this situation whereby you are afraid that somebody is trying to steal your idea? Somebody said, oh, that I will take a design. I said, the design is in my head. I will design another way to be better. So don't worry. Anything that God has given you, He has attached it to you. You understand? There are some... It's like, it's not easy to steal certain parts of a Tesla, like its battery and all those things. You know, there are some things that are gummed to... You can't steal it. You can copy it, but you cannot steal certain parts. No matter how envious you are of Pastor Wale, you cannot steal his head. It will not work for you. So, acknowledge God in all your works. You shall feed on those who have fed on the best. The secrets of dryness are not for everyone to see. That is why they could not correlate the leanness with the eating of the fat cows. It didn't make sense. So they did not eat the fat cows and become fat. No. They were not obvious. They were not conspicuous. They looked ugly. So you look ugly to some people for a purpose, because they are not for you, and they are not to know your strength. So verse 25 to verse 36, I would just say from verse 32, it says, God often confirms his word through two dreams. Then verse 34, we will say, let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plentiful years. So the years of plenty are the years of investment. The years of famine are the years of growth, courage, and strategy. During famine, people try to hide. They don't know that that's when there is real growth. So this proposal, so verse 37 to 45, it says, this proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, can we find a man like this in whom is the Spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has shown you all of this, there is none so discerning and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall order themselves as you command. Only as regards to the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and clothed him with garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him ride in his second chariot, and they called out before him, bowed the knees. Thus he set him over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Egypt, I am Pharaoh, and without your consent, no one shall lift up hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphanet-Paneah, and he gave him in marriage Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. So Joseph went out over the land of Egypt. When your time comes, everyone will listen to you. A man with the Spirit of God will be sought after. Kings will not want you too far from them. There can be power even without title. Pharaoh gave him all the symbols of power, but said he's not Pharaoh. Sometimes we are looking for title. Daniel, that I mentioned before, Mordecai, Esther, they had power. They did not need to be king. Sometimes when you are king, it's a problem. What do you want to be king for? So that you will have the power. They've given you the power. You still are looking for. So who really was the king in Egypt? Maybe you are already king and you are still waiting to be king. So verse 46 to 32, to 52, sorry. Let's go to 47. During the 7 plentiful years, the earth produced abundantly, and he gathered up all the food of these 7 years, which occurred in the land of Egypt, and put the food in the cities. He put in every city the food from the fields. Then verse 50 says, before the year of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph. Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bore them to him. Then verse 52 says, the name of the second was called Ephraim, for God had made me faithful in the land of my affliction. So, what do you do in plenty? Verse 48 talks about everywhere. So you see, let's go to 48 again. And he gathered up all the food of these 7 years, which occurred in the land of Egypt, and put the food in the cities. He put in every city the food from the fields around. So, everywhere has a market, and everywhere has its own production. He only kept in each city the food from around that city. Do you know that during the years of famine, everything that Egypt needed were from Egypt? Everything that was needed in Egypt was from Egypt. Everything in each of those cities. So he did not carry food that was in Kano to store in Lagos. So some of us are thinking that there was one big warehouse where they gathered all the food around Egypt and put it there, and they were moving it anytime they did. No. Every city actually provided for itself in the end. So what does it tell you? That you are sitting in the midst of your famine is your plenty. Stop looking for another place to find the business. It is here. It is in that your place. When the Bible says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. We are looking for the Lord. Anybody wants to support me in this demonstration? Okay. So let's say he's here. Sit, please. Sorry. Sit first. So when we say he maketh me to lie down in the green pastures, so we are hoping for the shepherd to take him to these green pastures to lie down. But the challenge we don't see in that scripture is that we are not linking it to the steps of the righteous are ordered by God. What it means is that, that it is God that brought him here in the first place. That where he is lying down is the green pastures. This is the green pasture. That is why he made you to lie down here. So where are you lying down? Find your green pastures in where you're lying down. It may not look green, but it is your green pastures. Then it says, so Joseph gave birth so quickly before the famine came. So quickly sort out your household before the war. So whatever God has told you to do in your household, sort it out quickly. Then increase is available in every area. So every area in Egypt produced, every area in Egypt stored. Then fruitfulness often lies in our obedience through affliction. When you see affliction, expect fruitfulness. That's what it says. Verse 52, it says, the name of the second was called Ephraim, for God had made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. So when you are seeing affliction, expect fruitfulness. The only problem when you don't get the fruit is because you refuse to see the fruit. Because your eyes can only do one thing at a time. They either see or they cry. Stop crying. Start seeing. There was no record that Joseph was crying in prison or in Potiphar's house. He was always seeing. Verse 53 to 57. Let me just skip. Okay, let me try it. The 7 years of plenty that occurred in the land of Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began to come. As Joseph had said, there were famine in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. When all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, go to Joseph, what he says to do. So when the famine had spread over all the land, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe in the land of Egypt. Moreover, all the earth came to Egypt, to Joseph, to buy grain, because the famine was severe over all the earth. So, it says famine comes with signs. It's only Joseph that sells during famine. So just like I was describing our story. So we're the only ones that were doing something in the midst of nobody being courageous to do it. Then it says, God may even create a famine to show your greatness. Have you prepared for that famine that God is creating for you to be great? Or are you still crying? Then verse 13 to 19. So, but do you know that Joseph was not giving them food? He was selling food to them. That's what some of us misinterpret with the famine. We thought the food was saved for the Egyptians. No. The food, this whole thing was a business. Joseph and Pharaoh were partners. And they were running something. Because they had the prophecy and the interpretation. So you prophesy, I interpret, we run this show. So, okay. Sorry, Pastor, I'm running. Time is not on my side. Okay, let me try. 13 to 19, it says, now there was no food in all the land, for the famine was very severe, so that in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan languished for the reason of famine. And Joseph gathered all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan in exchange for grain that they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. So that's first deal. And when the money was all spent in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? For our money is gone. And then Joseph answered, give your livestock, and I will give you food in exchange for your livestock if your money is gone. So they bought their livestock to Joseph, and Joseph gave them food in exchange for their horses, the flocks and the herds and the donkeys. He supplied them with food in exchange for all their livestock that year. And when that year was ended, they came to him the following year and said to him, we will not hide from my Lord that our money is all spent. The heads of livestock and my lords. There is nothing left in the sight of my Lord but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for food, and we, with our land, will be servants to Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, and that the land may not be desolate. So the real money is made during famine. People must value your product more than you value their money. So if he wants to sell this lovely pair of shoes to me, and I ask him how much, and he says 50,000. So there's now going to be a competition. So do I value my 50,000 more than I value his shoe? Does he value my 50,000 more than he values his shoe? That's how the price will end up based on how we value each other. So how do you value what you have? How do you value your skill when you are negotiating your pay, when you are changing job? How do you value the product you are selling when you are trying to do business? So getting a value. So Joseph understood how the market was working, and he placed the value. And he was gradual. He did not say, just give me everything. No, he started with not see it coming. So Joseph brought the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for all the Egyptians, and sold their fields before the famine was severe, because the famine was severe on them. The land became Pharaoh's. As for the people, he made servants of them, from one end of Egypt to the other. Only the land of the priests he did not buy, for the priests had a fixed allowance from Pharaoh and lived on the allowances that Pharaoh gave them. Therefore, they did not sell their land. So Pharaoh protected the priests. This thing was not applicable to the priests. Pharaoh understood the calling of the priesthood. Do you understand the relevance of the priesthood in your business, in your dealings, in your growth, in your money making, in your vision, in your desire? Why do you think God chose Egypt? God could have had Joseph bought by any other set of people going to any other part of the world. God was trying to bless Pharaoh. Do you think it was only Joseph? God had chosen Pharaoh also. There were many other kings, but he chose Pharaoh because Pharaoh understood the care of the priesthood. Do you care for your priesthood? Or you just sit and judge the priesthood? The priesthood has never been perfect, but God's law on handling the priesthood is perfect. The priests are not dealt with in ordinary ways. The secret of great wealth lies in looking after the priests and the priesthood. One man owned a country because he understood the famine. So, can I shoot? Okay. Okay, we quickly go to other parts. Chapter 39, verse 2 to 6. We go earlier, we jump again. So the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. This is before the prequel, when he was with Potiphar. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. Success moves with you. You are a Joseph. You are thinking that your success is in that original first dream you had, which you wrongly interpreted to mean you will be the head of your father's household. That's a very small way to interpret such a big dream. So, if you do not get the job as an engineer, you think that you don't have success. If you do not get the job in Chevron or in wherever, Central Bank, you think that you don't have success. You'll be looking for some places when success is in you. Who do you say you have in you? You say you have Christ in you. So what is success? So success is inside you. It's for you to happen it. So he happened it in Potiphar's house. He did not start to happen it in Pharaoh's palace. Potiphar saw him and said, Kai, this guy is success. So he employed, so sometimes you may have to recruit success. Like I was whispering to him. He employed success and he now saw success in prison and brought success out of prison and put him in his palace, and his palace prospered. Can you see that success is not in Potiphar's house, in Jacob's house, in the palace? No, success is Joseph. So the father knew success, so the father held on to him. Do you understand? Potiphar knew success, so held on to him. So what happened to his father's house when Joseph was not there? So you go to a place, some jobs, some environment, work environment, the success happening there because of somebody. You go there, the person leaves, everything is different. But you think that it is the place. But what if you are that somebody? So I'm telling you today, you are your Joseph. Stop running all over the place looking for success. Success. God did not create places bigger than man. You are his son. He cannot make success in a place more than success in you. If he makes it in that way, he will move you there because he will order your steps. So finally, yeah. So from verse 47, chapter 47, verse 20 to 22. That's the final reading. Joseph said to his brothers, so when him and his brothers now met again, say, bros, how far? After all these things, when they were sharing corn and all those things. Then it says, Joseph said to his brother, I am Joseph. When they had done so, he said, I am your brother, Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. How many of us read God's difficulty with us in favorable manner? For 2 years now, there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years, there will be no plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. God may not give you great assignments if you do not have the power of forgiveness and a vision for the big picture. God does not give wealth for vengeance. Some of us are hoping to be great so as to show our colleague that, Shebi, I told you so. Some of us are hoping to be great to tell our boss that we will be his boss. Some of us are hoping to be great to even tell our parents that they were wrong. So why do you seek this greatness? Be careful that your greatness is not for arrogance and your greatness is not for vengeance. Because God chose a Joseph in the midst of his brothers and knew the character and how Joseph will manage success. Because of all the brothers, who will be great and think of saving the family? It's the character. So some of us, we achieve greatness. We want to achieve greatness to cover bitterness. Greatness and bitterness don't go together. God's greatness doesn't endorse bitterness. Shall we rise? Lord, we thank you for your instructions. We thank you for your power. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for you are a covenant-keeping God. For you are not only able to keep your own part of the covenant, but you are able to help us keep. You are able to help us keep our own part of the covenant. So we give you our part of the covenant, and you help us to do it. We thank you. And let us also know there's something God has been telling me recently, is that we were not made on earth. We're not called to earth to avoid sin. We're called to earth to do his work. So when we keep thinking that we are not righteous enough to do his work, that is when we have now truly sinned. Because he says that he that knows that which is good and does it not, to him it is sin. So when we are afraid to sin, then we enslave ourselves. Sin is a distraction. It's not what stops you from going to heaven. Do you understand? So the concept of heaven and hell, it's about making sure that you have the relationship with Christ so that you are chosen for heaven and not left for the other part. So it's not about struggling to avoid sin, otherwise we'll end up like the 1 talent man who told his master that he was afraid of the master's punishments for failure. He was afraid to fail and get punished. So he did not evangelize and produce fruit. So let's use our talent. There's therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Let us not be the ones to condemn ourselves and think we are not worthy to do his bidding. We are called to worship and to grow the kingdom. But in our livelihood, let us remember that God is the author in our hearts of our original dreams. Let us begin to meditate on the original dreams we had with God, that he will start to work his wonders in us. Covenant keeping God, there is no one like you. Alpha and Omega, like you.
Covenant keeping God, there is no one like you.